Greetings, everybody. In this short video, we are going to discuss a very interesting application of linear algebra. It has to do with a thing called singular value decomposition. If you are a mathematics student and you have had an advanced course on linear algebra, you might have heard of it. So it's a very general technique and it is very useful in image processing. To explain this application, let's begin with the basics. Now, let's talk about images. Of course, we are all familiar with images, but in a digital way, how do we represent them? Let's say in Matlab, in Python, in C++. Okay. Now, an image is nothing more than a simple matrix. Okay. Uh, each matrix represents a single image. Of course, if the image is m by n, m columns, and m rows, n columns, this is the same dimensions for the corresponding matrix, and each element in the matrix corresponds to a pixel value. Okay. If we have a grayscale picture, we have a single matrix to represent the image. If we have a color figure, a color image, the most classic format is RGB. So we have three matrices, one for the red pixel values, one for the green, and one for the blue pixel values. Okay. So the value of each element in the matrix, which corresponds to a single pixel, takes an integer value between 0 and 255. For example, in the grayscale image, 0 represents black, 255 represents white, right? And again, in color images, what do? We have for a specific pixel, three values, one for the red, one for the blue, and one for the green matrix. And we take these three values, we combine them, and take the corresponding color of the pixel. So in this example, as you see here, I have, let's say, a specific pixel where the R value is 255, the green value is 100, and the blue value is 0. And this gives us the color that you see on the right? So this is a very simple example of a color image. Okay, we have three matrices. They have integer values from 0 to 255. And if the image was grayscale, we would only have one single matrix. Okay. So everything that you know about matrices from linear algebra, you can apply them to images as well. Okay, so you can compute eigenvalues, you can compute the rank, you can do the transpose, you can compute the rank, you can do linear solving. Of course, it doesn't, upon first viewing, linear solving doesn't make any sense, but it actually has some sense in specific applications, for example, in machine learning. So in order to understand this application that I'm about to show you, let's remember some very basic things, okay? You need to know the rank of the matrix, okay? It's the number of the pivots when computing the diagonal form of the matrix. We need to know the transpose of the matrix. Of course, it's a very common term. And we also need to know about the eigenvalues. So if you're a first-year student of linear algebra, these are stuff that you're going to learn towards, especially the eigenvalues, towards the end of the semester. Now, apart from that, we need some other basic stuff, which is the eigenvectors, the singular values of alpha matrix, which are defined as the eigenvalues of this product right here, and of course, some very common norm, which is the Euclidean norm. Okay. Now, let's talk about the singular value decomposition. The singular value decomposition is a way of breaking down a matrix into the product of three individual matrices. And the important thing here is this, that the middle matrix that you see here is the sigma matrix. It's a diagonal matrix which has the so-called singular values of alpha. Okay. The important thing is that this matrix is diagonal and the singular values, which actually contain some important information, they come in significant order. And by that, I mean that the first values are the most important. And as we move diagonally, the other values become less and less and less important. So to show this geometrically, this matrix alpha can be broken down into the product of these three matrices. Okay, and the diagonal matrix sigma here is the important matrix. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, what's the whole point of breaking down a single matrix into the product of three matrices? Okay, it seems like a lot of work to do. So what do we have to gain? Well, the thing is that you can do a lot of processing here Of course, it has numerous applications. For example, in linear systems, in control theory, you might see singular value decomposition. But specifically for images, the thing that we can do is discard some of the elements of this three-term product. And why is that? It is because these elements of the diagonal matrix, as I told you, start from the most important ones. So the first values here are the most important singular values. And as we move down diagonally, the singular values become less and less and less important. And by important, I mean that they carry less information about this matrix. So one of the things that we can do here is this product that I show you down below. Let's say R is the dimension of the middle matrix, which is the number of singular values. We can actually keep just the first k values, okay, discard the rest, and of course, by discarding the rest of these values, we need to cut down the last columns of the first matrix and cut down the last rows of the last matrix. Okay, so we do this breakdown. We remove elements from this diagonal matrix, and we correspondingly remove this part and this part from the left and right product matrices. And what we can achieve with this breakdown is that we can save space in saving the matrix values. And this actually, when this matrix represents an image, corresponds to image compression. Because basically, we are breaking down an image into the product of three matrices, and then we discard information from these matrices. And you will see that by this way, we can compress the image, but we don't necessarily lose a lot of information. Okay. So, as I said, the idea is to take a specific image, just like that, either grayscale or a color image, and do this singular value decomposition, remove some specific singular values, or if you want to rephrase this, only keep a very specific number of singular values. Let's say we keep only the 10% of singular values or 20% of the singular values. And in this way, we can manage to achieve compression of the image. So let's see some results. So this is the original image for the grayscale case. And we have 347 singular values. And here we do 80% compression, which means that we keep 80% of the values and the last 20% of the singular values, we completely discard them. Now, as you see at these two images, really, you can't significantly tell the difference, right? Maybe in some textures, like right here, maybe you see some pixelization, but overall, as you see, the original and the 80% image compression, they have pretty much the same, at least to the visual, to the naked eye, they look, relatively the same. And you will see that if I do a 60% compression, so keep only 40% of the singular values, again, here we have a lot of compression, but still visually, the image doesn't seem to have that much of an extreme loss, right? But you can save a lot of space in saving this image. And I have some more results. So here we go to 85%, and now we kind of see a little pixelization. And of course, with 95% and 99% compression, so especially in the last case, we keep only 1% of the singular values, then you see a lot of pixelization, obviously. But up until 60 and 70 or 80% of compression, you see that the results are relatively very good, right? So in this very, very simple way, you can apply a technique from linear algebra, and I would say a relatively elementary technique, which is the singular value decomposition, to do something like an image compression. And of course, this is just one of the many, many things that you can do. Because, for example, another similar application to image compression here has to do with the so-called steganography, or as we can say, transferring information that is visually not understandable to the naked eye. So in steganography, you can combine this singular value decomposition to remove redundant information in an image and replace them with information that you want to safely transmit. A much more advanced application, but you can see the point here. Starting from SVD, you can do a lot of other stuff for image processing. Okay. Of course, we have the similar results here for a color image. You see the three channels, red, green, and blue. And again, from 20% compression, 60% compression, we don't really see a difference. And then slightly from 85% of compression, 95 and 99% of compression, of course, we see a lot of pixelization. So the idea is the same. You apply singular value decomposition to every single individual channel and discard the singular values that you don't want. Okay. And then we can do a lot of analysis. For example, here I compare the norm between the original and compressed image. Of course, the more compression you have, the higher the difference between the original and the approximated image. Okay. But overall, we can achieve a significant amount of image compression without compromising the quality of the image that much. Of course, in medical images, you cannot do that so easily because the information is very important. But in other types of images, you can discard information and, as I told you, potentially add new information hidden to the naked eye. Okay, so this is for this very simple application, and I'm going to put a Matlab code in the description where you can apply SVD and image compression yourself. Okay, so any questions that you have, just post them in the comments.